guys, Anthony here for Signal by Sony at CES 2014. We have early access. They are still setting up. We're going to show you some of the amazing things that are going to be announced here at the show. I got Steven with me from Sony Mobile. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, Anthony. I'm doing great, thanks.
Good. You guys have had a big year with the release of the Z1. And there have been a lot of questions about when can I, in the US, get my hands on a Z1? When is that going to happen?
Well, that's the big story, because we're here to announce that we're going to have the Z1S, a sister product to the Z1, now available in the US for T-Mobile customers.
Okay, and is the Z1S, is that just a US territory version of the Z1, or have other improvements been made?
First off, when we think about what's different, you have more memory. You have double the memory of what you have in the global product. So the Xperia Z1 has 16 gig. For T-Mobile customers, we up that to 32 gig.
And you guys also still have expandable memory on that
Sure,
as well?
up to 64 gig. In thinking of the applications, what's really cool is, like with the global product, the Xperia Z1, we have the Xperia Smart Camera apps.
Okay.
So you have the four that are there in the global product, but for T-Mobile customers, we add one more called Background Defocus.
Okay, and this is something that we've seen in other Sony cameras, standalone cameras like the Cybershots, the NEX, the Alphas, and this kind of gives that kind of depth of field, that nice portrait background that people always try to get in their shots, right?
Yeah, it'll process an artistic soft focus in the back.
Very cool. So has anything else been changed in terms of the hardware or the software?
In the hardware, just very slightly for T-Mobile customers, the headphone jack has been moved to the middle of the top. Okay. So just T-Mobile says our customers like that placement more, so we did that there for them in the hardware.
The headphone jack is waterproof even though it's open? That's the deal? Okay.
So that's another difference versus the Xperia Z. The Xperia Z1 and the Z1S now have an open and waterproof headphone jack. And this is something we heard feedback from customers that said, well, what if I'm by the pool and I drop it in the water, I'm listening with the headphones, then water's going to get in. Okay, so we took that into consideration, made that waterproof. With the other ports, you still have the seals around your micro USB, micro SD and such.
So you could actually just go into a pool and take pictures with this
thing,
you
could, because you have a real camera button now.
Oh, okay.
So you know when you go underwater, the capacitive touchscreen is not so reliable, So we put in a waterproof, a real dedicated hardware camera key there, so you can actually go underwater and snap photos. And because it's a real camera key, the autofocus is still in place, so that half step down to set your autofocus and get the shot you want. If it requires macro, that'll kick in under Superior Auto, so it really takes nice photos underwater too.
That's cool. So in terms of the Z1S versus the Z1 in hardware, it's pretty much the same specs that we would expect from the Z1, right?
Yes, your camera specs are identical between the two models. So 20.7 megapixels, and then you have a harmony of 3 Sony assets that you get with the Xperia Z1 and the Xperia Z1S. First, you have a Sony G lens that's at an f-stop of 2.0. So a lot of light is coming in there and hitting the sensor, the Exmor RS for mobile sensor that is rather large for a smartphone, 1/2.3 inches class. Okay. So a lot of light coming in, a lot of light hitting the sensor, and then the third part of the chain, the brains of the whole operation, is Bions. So all those wonderful algorithms we get with the standalone cameras with our DI group, we benefit from that, and that processes brilliant photos working along with the great processor, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 800.
So you've got the G lens on there, it's an f2, so you're letting a lot of light in, which is great. But sometimes you're just in real low light, right? So does this thing have a built-in flash as well?
Sure do. You have an LED camera flash.
Awesome. And then, of course, the screen is going to be the same quality as the Z1, so that's the tri-luminous screen.
Tri-luminous with the X-Reality for mobile picture engine.
And that's a 1080p screen as well.
Yes, it is.
Right?
1080p and 5 inches.
Awesome. So when are we going to be able to get our hands on the Z1S here in the States?
Starting the 13th, you can get it online at T-Mobile. And then starting the 22nd of January, you can go into T-Mobile stores and buy it as well, too. Now, of course, because I know you have a global audience as well, the Xperia Z1 is currently available in market, and that's just a great product as well, of course.
Awesome. And you guys are announcing something else here as well in the Z line, right?
Oh, yeah. It's so small, I might have misplaced it. Let's see if I have it here somewhere. Oh, yes. It's called the Xperia Z.
It's also CES Pocket, right? You've got like 7 of these things to show
where's all
people.
my devices, all my toys? This is called the Xperia Z1 Compact. Okay. So this is going to become available globally next month, so no announcement for specific markets. But when we think of things that the Xperia Z1 has, like the great camera experience with the Exmor RS sensor and the G lens and Bions and all that, and the 4 smart camera apps that the Xperia Z1 has, and the waterproof capability, the processor. You're going to find all that in the Xperia Z1 Compact as well.
Cool. So the only change here really is the smaller form factor for people who...
With a smaller screen, you don't really need the,
pixel
the
density.
1080. Sure. But virtually everything, down to the processor and the waterproof capabilities are the same as the Xperia Z1.
That's nice.
Yep.
That's great for people with hipster pockets. Like me. Stephen, thank you so much for coming by and showing this stuff off. Remember, we have tons more from CES 2014. Be sure to check out the Sony CES hashtag on Twitter and subscribe at youtube.com/signal.